तो
क्या स्टार्ट कर दो।
बस
हाँ मटेरियल शेयर
ठीक है चलो
उनको दीजिए, फेसबुक में करूँगा पेज।
तो सब लोग ले सकते हैं 3 व्यक्ति।
नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Gauranika Jaya Gauranika Gauranika Jaya Gauranika 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 Jaya Gauranika Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राज कचार्य अष्टोत्र सदस्य श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राज कचार्य अष्टोत्र सदस्य श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से बोल श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जय। मायपुर नवदीप धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। नर्मदा माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि। All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanasalakhya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Sagana Raghunathamitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagamita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swamini Namini Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshkarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome devotees to the online reading of the book My Memories of Srila Prabhupada. We will continue from where we stopped, page number 57. Okay. But Srila Prabhupada also warned that disunity of his movement would be detrimental to its missionary purpose. Unfortunately, much of what happened during the years just after Prabhupada's departure is an unhappy testimony of those prophetic words. Nowadays, it seems that our movement has lost the vision for making this planet and ultimately the whole universe Krishna conscious. Many devotees who joined ISKCON after Srila Prabhupada's disappearance are apparently unaware of his revolutionary mood. No longer clearly united in purpose, members of ISKCON nevertheless remain together remembering Srila Prabhupada's ominous warning. Your love for me will be tested. How after my departure you maintain this institution? Probably we took the statement too lightly. Maybe we were overconfident about how much we loved Srila Prabhupada, or took it for granted that unity and purity would easily be maintained. We probably did not sufficiently appreciate the tremendous power of Srila Prabhupada's personal presence toward offsetting the divisive influence of Kali Yuga. Whatever may have caused the ensuing misfortune, the challenge still stands before us. Your love for me will be tested. How after my departure you maintain this institution, the success of our mission depends upon it. The Krishna consciousness movement is carrying the potency of Krishna. Nothing is impossible for Krishna and his pure devotees. Our movement still bears the energy of Supreme Lord. We have the best philosophy, the best process, the best guru, and the blessings of the most merciful avatar, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. With his benediction, we can blaze forward and save the world. Everywhere there is great chance to give this Krishna consciousness movement a great push, and if we do everything very carefully, there is no reason why we cannot save the world. Those who undertake the missionary work in a selfless mood will be successful. Srila Prabhupada has given us practical solutions to the myriad problems that bedevil the world. We simply have to become instruments in his hands, and he will reveal how everything should be done. Either we will do it or others will, now or in future. But happen it will. As Srila Prabhupada said, it is up to us to take the credit or not. This is the most exciting period in the world's history. We are most fortunate to have the rare opportunity to take part in Lord Chaitanya's and Srila Prabhupada's spiritual revolution. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted that there be chanting in every town and village of the world. True, there is still a long way to go. But if we simply stick faithfully and intelligently to Srila Prabhupada's instructions, we will see the course of world history undergoing tremendous changes that few people can now imagine. The implementation of the cultural revolution to save the world is presently in the hands of Srila Prabhupada's followers. One symptom of a devotee who has taken Srila Prabhupada's mission seriously is the sense of purpose and urgency. He is aware of the multiple tasks that must be undertaken for spreading Krishna consciousness and diligently applies himself in a productive, focused manner to help expand this movement. He is not lazy. Prabhupada consciousness. It is not very difficult to be Prabhupada conscious and to have his association. There is no need to make any special arrangement or strain our brains about it. We just have to throw ourselves into the fire of preaching. This does not mean merely giving a casual lecture here and there, but immersing ourselves day and night in thoughts of how to push on Prabhupada's mission within our given capacity. We have to absorb ourselves in preaching activities. When we speak to someone about Krishna or try to induce him to take a book, we should pray, please, Srila Prabhupada, help me to convince these people. When asked questions or challenged, we should try to remember how Prabhupada replied to such queries. When tempted by Maya, we should say no, because we know it would be displeasing to Srila Prabhupada and a hindrance to our full absorption in his service. When we face the inevitable difficulties in preaching, We should remember how Prabhupada tolerated all inconveniences, patiently overcame all obstacles, and perceived undisturbed pushing his movement. Another aspect of being Prabhupada conscious is to offer all our success back to him. We are made of his mercy and have no separate abilities of our own. All guidance, inspiration, and blessings come from him. Srila Prabhupada's movement. Srila Prabhupada was sent by Lord Chaitanya to fulfill his mission of spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. There is no doubt that this mission will become prominent and lead the world, for it is the desire of Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada. This movement is destined to be fabulously successful, and it will happen when those who purport to be followers of Srila Prabhupada clearly understand that ISKCON was, is, and always will be Prabhupada's mission. Everything belongs to Srila Prabhupada, nothing is ours. We are absolutely and always his servants. We do not have dozens of movements with dozens of leaders, but one movement with a single leader. Within this mission, there may be many departments with their respective leaders, but the ultimate leader is one. Our duty is conjointly serve Prabhupada's mission. Let us try to be great servants of our great master and serve his servants also. That is Vaishnava philosophy. Although most devotees within ISKCON are guided by various disciples of Srila Prabhupada, there should not be much difference between those disciples or between subsequent discipler descendants. For we are all members of Srila Prabhupada's family. ISKCON is not different from Srila Prabhupada, my body, he said. Someone may purport to love Prabhupada yet dislike ISKCON, but that is like declaring love for Krishna but repugnance for his cows. Repugnance for his cows. Whatever ISKCON is, was, or should be, it is inseparable from Srila Prabhupada. If we really love Srila Prabhupada, we can never reject ISKCON. Whatever difficulties or failings may exist, we must remain in this moment and try to overcome the problems that inevitably will arise by the very nature of this condemned world. Instead of demanding utopia, we must learn to live in this world and do something practical to make it better by working to help make Srila Prabhupada's mission a success. Let us always remember how much Srila Prabhupada desired that his movement be successful. There have been, are, and will be discrepancies and difficulties within ISKCON, especially without Prabhupada to personally scold us and keep us in order. We sometimes tend to forget exactly what Srila Prabhupada wanted us to do. And life in ISKCON has sometimes been unnecessarily difficult. Yet despite the ups and downs, when we remember that Srila Prabhupada considers ISKCON non-different from himself, we then know that we must go on serving and cooperating within this movement to try to make it a great success. If we are serious to serve, then surely Srila Prabhupada and Krishna will guide us. Srila Prabhupada is always with us in the form of his books and instructions. If we follow those instructions without deviation, we will never be separated from him. We will earn the blessings of Srila Prabhupada and the entire Parampara. Backed by the power of Krishna, Srila Prabhupada, and the previous Acharyas, there can be no question of failure. If we but remain sincere, then certainly it is just a matter of time before our endeavors blossom and flourish. We must remain patient and not expect immediate results. These are still pioneering and formative days. The immediate years following Srila Prabhupada's physical departure from our midst are the testing ground for the Krishna consciousness movement. How Srila Prabhupada's instructions are understood and implemented by the first generations of his followers will shape the future of his mission. Misinterpretation can cause chaos, as happened in Christianity, in which early belief in vegetarianism and reincarnation was later rejected, with the result that mainstream Christianity has ever since remained diverged from the true spirit of Christ. Therefore, it is incumbent on Srila Prabhupada's followers to carefully grasp the essence of his teachings and not speculate or deviate in any way. If we rationalize, minimize, or simply disobey Srila Prabhupada's instructions, we will wither and die. Although the Guru Parampara is under Krishna's protection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that the line of Bhakti Vinod will never be stopped if we allow Maya to enter. The natural development of the mission will be impeded. And without being overwhelmed, we should face the difficulties that Maya inevitably imposes. Srila Prabhupada himself set the example. By the dint of firm faith in Krishna's protection, he always maintained equilibrium as he captioned the ISKCON ship through one storm after another. It may be that ISKCON's problems today are no greater than they were back then, but that our ability to overcome them is now less due to our lack of full Krishna consciousness. Whatever the difficulties and their causes may be, followers of Srila Prabhupada should always remain connected to his mission and continue to work within it as dedicated servants. They should maintain the constant endeavor to uphold and improve standards. The test of a true disciple is to bear the burden of executing the Guru's orders. For followers of Srila Prabhupada, this means to continue the preaching work within the organization he established. Others may invent their own programs, but the true disciple sticks to the service given by his Guru. It is the duty of all disciplic descendants of Srila Prabhupada to work within ISKCON according to their capacity for the deliverance of the conditioned souls. Without becoming engulfed by problems within our society, let us push on with our work, being always confident of Krishna's blessings. If we simply follow in Srila Prabhupada's footsteps, all success is guaranteed. If the preachers in our Krishna consciousness movement are sincere devotees of Krishna, Krishna will always be with them because he is very kind and favorable to all his devotees. Just as Arjuna and Krishna were victorious in the battle of Kurukshetra, this Krishna consciousness movement will surely emerge victorious if we but remain sincere devotees of the Lord and serve the Lord according to the advice of the preachers, the 6 Goswamis and the other devotees of the Lord. As Narottam Das Thakur has said, Tadera Charana Sevi Bhakta Sannivas Janame Janame Hoye Abhilash. The Krishna consciousness devotees must always desire to remain in the society of devotees. Bhakta Sannivas. They cannot go outside the Krishna conscious society or the movement. Within the society, we must try to serve the predecessors by preaching Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cult and spreading his name and fame all over the world. If we attempt this seriously within the society, it will be successfully done. There is no question of estimating how this will happen in the mundane sense. But without a doubt, it happens by the grace of Krishna. A proposal. Many members of our movement are expressing dissatisfaction and not without cause. Therefore, we submit a proposal for solving all problems within our society. It is based on the understanding that pure devotional service brings immediate relief from all kinds of material distress and is the beginning of all auspiciousness. See the Nectar of Devotion, chapter 1. Every devotee should, number 1, read Srila Prabhupada's books 1 to 2 hours daily. Number 2, chant and dance in Kirtan. Chant and dance together in Kirtan. Number 3, chant the holy names very carefully and with great attention. Then all of us will quickly become pure devotees. We'll drown in an ocean of bliss, and we'll find that all our problems have also been drowned. Or even if difficulties remain, after all, this world was designed to be problematic. When Krishna is pleased by our sincere efforts to serve Him, then He will definitely bless us with the realization to overcome problems, or at least learn to live with them. Purity is the force. Feeling for Prabhupada. It is essential that every member of ISKCON feel a strong, close bond of affection to Srila Prabhupada. Certainly, he feels for us, his children and grandchildren. If we are to develop genuine love, we must reciprocate with them and feel his kindness. That is what Krishna consciousness is all about. Bhakti means love. Without love, there is no question of bhakti. It is not sufficient to go on mechanically as if Krishna consciousness were simply some humdrum formula. We need to open our hearts and actually develop love for Krishna, love for his devotees, and love for all living beings. To do that, we must connect with Prabhupada, who is an ocean of love. We connect with Prabhupada through his books and instructions. Srila Prabhupada wanted his followers to read his books as it is required. We do so, but not ritualistically, simply as a duty. Loving feelings must also be developed. We may doubt, how can we develop such feelings if we never met Srila Prabhupada or had only very little personal association with him? Answer. By hearing about him from those who were with him, by reading about him, by discussing his pastimes and qualities, and also most importantly, by praying. Srila Prabhupada, please help me. We must become attached to Srila Prabhupada. This is the sure way to success. Mahat Sevam Dvaramahor Vimuktehe. One can attain the path of liberation from material bondage only by rendering service to highly advanced spiritual personalities. Becoming attached to Srila Prabhupada means to become attached to hearing about him, reading his books, glorifying him, and quintessentially following his instructions. Following his instructions does not mean to follow one or two of them according to our whims, but to make them our life and goal. This is the real meaning of putting Prabhupada in the center. I do not want to be taken as a Prakrita Sahajya, but I must say that if we do not at least sometimes shed a tear when remembering Srila Prabhupada's extraordinary mercy upon us, then something is definitely wrong. Let us put it right now, while there's still time. Love means to follow. To have sentiment or feeling for Srila Prabhupada is desired and required, but the real thing is to do what he asks. Talk of love is easy, but the test is in following. On a morning walk in Hyderabad, Srila Prabhupada took the position of a Christian. I love God, and he said and challenged his disciple to disprove his position. He refuted all arguments until this one was offered. If you love God, why don't you do what he says? Srila Prabhupada then explained, by disregarding the biblical injunction, thou shalt not kill, the so-called Christians' hypocrisy was exposed. Similarly, love for Srila Prabhupada must be based on following his instructions. To praise Srila Prabhupada is good and certainly should be done. But the real challenge is to become like him. Remembrance of Srila Prabhupada, love for Srila Prabhupada, praise of Srila Prabhupada, and service to Srila Prabhupada must all be based on obeying Srila Prabhupada. Otherwise, such sentiments are superficial, hypocritical, and devoid of potency to fulfill Srila Prabhupada's mission of spreading Krishna consciousness. If he cannot follow after initiation, then he is a cat or a dog. He is not a human being. Why he should accept initiation? Let him remain a dog or a cat or a dog. He promises to follow, and if he cannot follow, then he is nothing but cat and dog. In the court, there they take promises in the name of God, in the name of Bible. So that means he will speak the truth. Similarly, before the fire, before the deity, before Guru, before devotees, he is promising something, and if he does not follow, then he is cat and dog. He cannot advance. It is not possible. That is the distinction between cat and dog and human being. Cat and dog, they cannot promise. It is not possible. But a human being can promise. And if he keeps his promise, then he is human being. Otherwise, cat and dog. Word of honor. The cats and dogs, they have no sense of honor. Either you pick him or pat. He does not know what is the difference. That is cat and dog. He does not know the distinction. A human being knows what is promise. What is the word of honor? I want one student who follows my instructions. I don't want millions. Ekas chandras tamo hanti nachatara sahasrasha. If there is one moon in the sky, that is sufficient for illumination. There is no need of millions of stars. So my position is that I want to see that at least one disciple has become pure devotee. Of course, I have got many sincere and pure devotees. That is my good luck. But I would have been satisfied if I could find out one only. Srila Prabhupada's loving followers. To be a disciple of Srila Prabhupada is really something special. Even devotees who left the mission many years ago can intrigue us with their wonderful stories of Srila Prabhupada in the early days. The good feeling that they got from Prabhupada lives, Prabhupada lives with them even now. Still, when we hear our strayed away God brothers and God sisters tell their Prabhupada stories with such enthusiasm, we wonder. You love Prabhupada and Prabhupada loves you. You are so fortunate to have had his intimate association. Whatever you had for Prabhupada is your eternal credit. You served wholeheartedly, then why not now? Surrender to the spiritual master is not simply to be simply a youthful fling. He is our Lord, birth after birth. You have taken so much for Prabhupada's vision. Will you not do more now? You belong at Prabhupada's lotus feet, now nowhere else. Srila Prabhupada wants us. He is waiting for you. We also, your eternal spiritual relations are missing your association and friendship. Please come and join with us again. There are many Prabhupada disciples and also grand disciples who are still devotees at some level but are spoiling their life by not practicing Krishna consciousness seriously. Such a great asset of knowledge, experience and advancement is going to waste. You can immediately please Srila Prabhupada and help relieve the suffering of the world if you simply resume what you are meant for, giving to others what Srila Prabhupada gave to you. Fellow devotees, we beg you, please return and help push on this movement in whatever capacity you can, or at least again practice Krishna consciousness seriously. For your own benefit, the valuable gift has been received. Help yourself and others by being Krishna conscious. My dear God brothers and God sisters, please hear my humble request. You are all highly elevated souls. Srila Prabhupada traversed the world, gathering members to his flock, and you were among the few who first responded on his order. You sacrificed everything and took all risks to preach. How sweet and fresh were those early days. But what about today? Let us look into our hearts. Do we still cry for Prabhupada? If not, why not? Have we become stuffy, staid, uncomfortable, and complacent? Are we now self-righteous senior citizens slowly ticking onto our next change of body? Or worse still, have we slipped from the vows we made to Srila Prabhupada? Prabhus, our duty to Srila Prabhupada is not over. It is not enough simply to remember him fondly, but we must do some significant service. The Krishna consciousness movement do not end in 1977, but there is so much to be done all over the world. So many devotees need the association of experienced, mature devotees. As sincere family members, we must always help the newer devotees, even if due to their inexperience, they did not always treat us as they should. Whatever bliss we experienced in Prabhupada days can be again, for those days are not, nor ever will be over. Srila Prabhupada lives forever by his divine instructions, and follower lives with him. If we are feeling the bliss of Krishna consciousness, we cannot blame it on any external cause. Srila Prabhupada has given us everything. He gave us the nectar of serving Krishna in ISKCON. The nectar is still there. It is up to us to again become properly linked. Srila Prabhupada was sometimes quite frank about his followers. I am engaging fools and rascals, anyone, to spread Krishna consciousness. We have to select men from the worst class, those who are finished 10th class. Prabhupada was once compared himself to Lord Rama, who had crossed the ocean to bring Lakshmi from the hands of the demons back to India, and said, just as Lord Rama had an army of monkeys to help him, so do I. Of course, Srila Prabhupada loved his monkeys and encouraged their unsophisticated attempts to become worthy members of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. He never forgot any sincere service rendered by any disciple. Always stern in his admonishment, he was ever ready to forgive any errant disciple and encourage him to continue in devotional service. Although fully aware of his disciples' failings, only in a few rare cases, only if a disciple had become consciously offensive, did Srila Prabhupada actually reject any disciple. Srila Prabhupada not only loved his monkeys, but was proud of them and praised their astounding feats in preaching Krishna consciousness. Let us still today encourage one another and offer tribute to devotees who continue to excel in Srila Prabhupada's service. Although one rather glum outlook to do downplay the glorifying of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, as if that somehow or other diminishes Srila Prabhupada's glories. Actually, the opposite is true. If the Son is glorified, the Father is automatically glorified along with him. True, Srila Prabhupada was magnificently unique, nor had we ever been seen such a person, nor ever imagined that there could be such a person, nor have we since seen anyone who is anywhere near Srila Prabhupada's stature. Notwithstanding the shenanigans of assorted Benebs, nor do we expect that anyone else of that standing will appear anytime soon. Personalities are as great as Srila Prabhupada are extremely few, and are rarely do they come to this world. So it is unreasonable to depreciate the followers of Srila Prabhupada for not having as great as he is. For those undeviatingly follow him share his greatness. By his grace, they also may be glorified. Rather than searching for whatever qualities they may lack, let us try to appreciate the extraordinary mercy they have received from Srila Prabhupada, the mercy to carry out his mission according to their individual capacity. True followers of Srila Prabhupada. Let us remember the Vaishnava spirit that Srila Prabhupada taught us and look for qualities, not faults in devotees. True followers of Srila Prabhupada. How do we recognize a true follower of Srila Prabhupada? By his qualities. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was acclaimed as the Lion Guru, and Srila Prabhupada was similarly ferocious in preaching. Lions do not give birth to lambs. The world is full of impersonalism, atheism, wickedness, and nastiness. Srila Prabhupada fought constantly and untiringly against such rascaldom. If we really want to be known as followers of Srila Prabhupada, we must join together and fight against all this nonsense. Srila Prabhupada wanted his followers to be preachers. Preaching is and always will be the essence. The topmost perfection for a devotee is to engage in activities to help others come back to Krishna. Conversely, if we do not endeavor to spread Krishna consciousness, we will simply slide into frustration and mediocrity. Let us recall those glorious days of little concern for our own effort of doing whatever it took to please Srila Prabhupada. Those days are not historically frozen. They are here right now. They exist in the guiding words of our spiritual master. Those days, the spiritual birthright of anyone who genuinely wants them. Those days were these days. Those days can be these days if we want them to be. As Srila Prabhupada wrote about his own guru, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, he lives forever by his divine instructions and the follower lives with him. ISKCON fashions. The dedicated followers of fashion within ISKCON are always introducing new fads, which last for some time and are soon forgotten with the ardent of a new caste. Some devotees are always running here and there anxious to do this, try this, read another book, hear something different, check out a fresh inexperience, introduce something novel, without realizing what a valuable treasure they have, the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. Better just stick to the essence, that is what Srila Prabhupada has given to us. As followers of Srila Prabhupada and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the essence of our spiritual life is preaching. Our central activities are to daily chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, daily attend the morning program of sadhana, dress as devotees, eat only Krishna Prasad, and be loyal to the ISKCON institution. No need of any speculative innovations. Let us stick to the basics. Chant Hare Krishna and be happy. You must see that they strictly follow the regulative principles, the 4 prohibitions, as well as the devotional practices of arising early, taking morning bath, putting on tilak, attending Mangalarati, chanting Japa 16 rounds, and attending Srimad Bhagavatam class. This is the duty of all our initiated disciples, wherever they may be or they are small, whether they are big or whether they are small. Everyone must rise early, take bath, attend Mangalarti, chant at least 16 good rounds, attend class, and follow the 4 regulative principles. If these things are lax, then there is no question of spiritual life. Anyone who does not accept these things staunchly will have to fall down. You must teach them by your own personal example, otherwise how will they learn? I am requesting again and again that all of my disciples simply follow all of our rules and regulations very strictly. Rising early, chanting sitting rounds, and attending Mangalarti and class are all essential for spiritual development. Getting Srila Prabhupada's mercy. Shastras state that only the most pious and fortune can take to devotional service. Considering this, a devotee once asked Srila Prabhupada then that since his disciples were previously almost all wretched, unfortunate, and devoid of pious activities, how could they have received the opportunity to serve Krishna? Srila Prabhupada retorted, I have made your pious activities. Prabhupada came to serve good fortune to the world. And all who came in contact with his divine grace were tremendously benefited, even if most were not aware of it. His family members who lived intimately with him for so long could hardly recognize their good fortune. Nor could the staid travelers in airport understand what benefit was accruing to them simply by their being present, and dozens of shiny faced devotees unrestrainedly roaring Hare Krishna to greet the saffron silk Swami. But Allen Ginsberg appreciated Srila Prabhupada. So did Sally Agarwal, and so did the hippies dancing with him in the park. Srila Prabhupada's disciples certainly appreciated him in a most substantial manner. They shed tears for him and gave their youth to push on his mission. Hundreds and thousands of people saw Srila Prabhupada as he strode across the globe, and a few even got the precious chance to speak with him. Even today, millions thought the world come in contact with Srila Prabhupada through his books and his movement. All are fortunate, but the really fortunate are those who take advantage of that fortune by surrendering to Srila Prabhupada's instructions. Service to the Sankirtan mission is the qualification for serving Srila Prabhupada's mercy. Whether one is disciple or grand disciple, a congregation, whether one is a disciple or a grand disciple, a congregational member, or in some other category, and no matter the time or place, anyone serving the mission will be personally recognized by Srila Prabhupada and receive his shelter. Thus, no one should feel bereft of Srila Prabhupada's acquisition. We need only to do our best to fulfill his mission. On fulfilling Srila Prabhupada's desires, satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. This dictum, cited by Srila Prabhupada in his purport to verse 4th chapter, 34th verse of the Bhagavad Gita, formed the basis of his approach to Krishna consciousness and his attitude towards his own Guru. He also communicated this vital principle to us, thus providing a simple formula for harmonizing and channeling our devotional activities. We must endeavor to please Srila Prabhupada. Once an ISKCON sannyasi asked a group of devotees, "Are you ready for death?" He let them consider for moments and then asked them again. At one point, a few hazarded, maybe, but most in that large group were certain, no. Finally, the sannyasi stated his own purpose. I am also not ready to die. I first have to do something for Srila Prabhupada. Everyone should ask himself, what am I doing for Srila Prabhupada? Is it enough? Can I do more? What should I be doing that I am not? What does Srila Prabhupada want? He made many Krishna conscious desires which he wanted his followers to help him fulfill. He wanted his disciples to become pure devotees and preach the message of Lord Krishna to others, both by example and precept. He emphasized preaching. Let us do something which will bring a peaceful revolution to the whole human society. Let the whole United States become Vaishnavas, then everyone else in the world will follow. That is real ambition. Srila Prabhupada said that his one problem was that he could not think small, only big. His ambition for spreading Krishna consciousness were enormous and mind-boggling. What can we do to actualize this? How much capability do we have? Our own strength is very limited. Sometimes we find it difficult to just to maintain the minimum standard instituted by Srila Prabhupada. What to speak of expanding the preaching? Nonetheless, if a devotee sincerely tries to execute the order of the spiritual master, strength will be given and amazing things will happen. Despite all our shortcomings, somehow or other Srila Prabhupada has chosen us, the members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, to fulfill his missions for furthering Lord Chaitanya's mission. It is a great blessing to be an instrument in the hands of Srila Prabhupada for changing the world by Sankirtan. All ISKCON devotees want to please Srila Prabhupada. And the sure way to do that is to strive together to make his mission a great success. Srila Prabhupada told us the only question he ever asked of his Guru Maharaj was, how can I serve you? Now, several years after Prabhupada's apparent departure from this world, there is sometimes confusion and disagreement over how we should best serve him. What does Srila Prabhupada want of us? What must we do now to please him? The answer is simple. For Srila Prabhupada openly expressed his desire that there be a world revolution of Krishna consciousness. Although book distribution is the prime program for affecting a regular public chanting of Harinam, mass prasad distribution, dynamic programs to recruit devotees, vibrant temples with strong devotees, strictly following sadhana bhakti, and Devi Varnashrama Dharma, self-sufficient communities. What we need to do is clear, but the means for accomplishing it sometimes elicits different opinions among Srila Prabhupada's followers. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada would say that a particular program is the most important. Other times he would emphasize another. While there is no doubt that he especially promoted distribution of his books, still when an enthusiastic book distributor asked Srila Prabhupada, what pleases you the most? Expecting the reply, distribute my books, Srila Prabhupada simply said, if we love Krishna. Even more vital than building temples or making much propaganda is that we become pure devotees. After all, other religious figures in history have also established the worldwide institutions, erected impressive buildings and attracted many followers. Quantitatively or externally, their achievements may compare with or even exceed those of Srila Prabhupada's. Quantitatively or externally, their achievements may compare with or even exceed those of Srila Prabhupada's. But qualitatively, they did not even come close. Only a pure devotee can produce pure devotees. Indeed, only Srila Prabhupada has produced so many genuine candidates for pure devotional service, and from the most unlikely source. That is not to detract from the significance of expanding the Krishna consciousness movement by all practical means, or to suggest that advancement in devotional service should be attempted apart from the standard process of practicing within the Sankirtan movement. But we must maintain the proper focus. We know what Prabhupada said and did and what he wanted. We must not know the intricacies. We may not know the intricacies of why he spoke and acted as he did. But we know with certainty that he intensely loved Krishna and wanted us also to love Krishna. Everything he taught us, everything he requested of us was meant to bring us to that point. Prabhupada loved Krishna so much that he gave his last drop of blood so that as many jivas as he could reach might at least get a start in Krishna consciousness. And he wanted his followers to advance to the highest level. If we simply follow Srila Prabhupada without speculating, then by his grace, we can indeed rise to that plane. But it may take time. The best thing is to offer Srila Prabhupada will be the easiest to achieve. Whatever big feats we may perform in devotional service, the real offering to the spiritual master is a clean heart, free from even the slightest subtle trace of material desire, a heart pure and radiant with love of Krishna. I only want that all of you, my disciples, always think of Krishna and never forget him for a moment. What is the difficulty, Srila Prabhupada would say? Although occasionally he would point out his position as a special messenger of God, Prabhupada never claimed any unique divinity. Whatever I am doing, you can do. Indeed, if what he had come to teach were impossible to attain, then what point would there have been to his coming? Still, although it is not intrinsically difficult to become a fully surrendered servant of the pure devotee, it might seem that not only many have attained that position. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur had only one disciple who fully understood his mission. Srila Prabhupada also said, I am the only single person preaching that Krishna is God. No one appreciates or understands, not even my disciples. Nevertheless, although it is very difficult to understand Krishna and his pure devotees, or to follow them in full purity, we need not feel discouraged. We should go on serving them, confident that if we are sincere, then they will surely help us. Realization comes by following, and following is realization. Hare Krishna, devotees. We will stop here and 1 second. We will see if anyone is asking any question or anything. So devotees, thank you very much for joining this session, and we will end this session for now, and I will give the link to order the book My Memories of Srila Prabhupada. Kindly, if you have the book, that's fine. If you don't have the book, then please order. And if you want to gift this book to somebody, some devotees, then it will be very pleasing, offer pleasing gift to them, definitely. So here is the link. So you could order the book through this link. So that's all for today. So we will join tomorrow evening at the same time at 8:30. continuing the reading of My Memories of Srila Prabhupada book. Thank you. Hare Krishna.